Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all here again with me for another discussion. Let's think about a couple of things, right? when you're doing business and you're working with a group and you're working as a team with co-workers and things like that, sometimes as time progresses, things can become challenging. You know that the commissioner of the Big 12 has the best interest of the conference. Okay. So the commissioner is going to, make proposals, make suggestions. The commissioner is going to do research that could potentially continue to keep the conference in a good light, in a good position. So when you look at the landscape that college football is in right now, you can clearly see all of the opportunities as a leader, as a commissioner. So in the midst of all of this, okay, we understand that your Mark has experience in the NBA world, and he understands entertainment, and he understands how to market and advertise. His experience were present with NASCAR. So let's look at it like this. There is a couple of brands. So this is for all of my Big 12 enthusiasts. There's a couple of brands, and excuse me if I'm not looking directly in the camera because I am driving, so I'm kind of multitasking. But there are brands out there that is important to the college sports world. And it's important to understand the concept of brands. Now, let's talk about a particular brand first. Okay, the brand we want to discuss is University of Connecticut, UCONN. Understand this, okay? UCONN is a national brand. UCONN is relevant, and they have been relevant for some time. And when you mention that team, that brand, people recognize that brand. Okay. Does the brand has the ability to produce good inventory? Because we're looking at it from a shelf standpoint. Does UCONN, the brand, give you good matchups whenever they play other teams? Now, we know right now, since their football is independent and their matchups are predominantly Big East, they don't really match up with a lot of other brands. But picture the brand matching up with other brands, whether it be in the SEC, the ACC, or the Big 12. That's what we're talking about. How would UCONN fare when you're doing matches with these brands? And that is branding. So if UCONN can produce good branding and good matchups, then would it be safe to say that's a viable reason for adding them? Now, we understand that they may be at a disadvantage at the moment with their financial, with their revenue and their athletic department, in a sense of they're not generating as much money compared to the other brands that are in the Power 4 conferences. We know that because they're on the outside looking in. So of course they're not going to be generating all the same type of revenue. So the goal is, how do you get them to get to that point? Well, they don't get to that point by staying on the outside looking in So there has to be a metric system that will allow for them to grow and build and increase the value of their own brand. And this is the concept which is being presented at the moment. Now, let's step outside of that and let's look at the voting rights and power. Well, you have presidents of universities in the Big 12, and most of these presidents don't always understand the concept of branding and, should I say, future growth as it relates to sports outside of their own institute, right? So collectively, they may have points, voting points, in which they look at to see if they check those boxes and go from there. And a simple plus and minus evaluation. But in a creative standpoint, and that is not being used. It's almost like when you're taking a test, right? When you're taking an exam that is testing your ability to remember things as opposed to hands-on training. So, in a technical aspect. So, we can't always say that when you compare the commissioner and you compare the presidents, we can't always say that the presidents have the best interest of the conference more so than the commissioner. I understand there's a process, but you have to understand, you have to evaluate the decisions that have been made thus far by the commissioner, and you weigh that in on the presentation that is being presented. Now, is it important to consider all the points? Yes, it is. Is it important to revisit this topic of adding UCONN? Yes, I would say within the next 6 months to a year. Because why should we do this? Because if you don't do it, then it's a potential that they could be grabbed by a whole nother conference, whether it be the SEC or the Big Ten, whoever is trying to improve in basketball. That would be one way to do it. Now, the football has a lot of work to do, and we understand that, but they will have plenty of time to get to that. It's kind of difficult to expect a brand to just generate all this type of revenue when they don't have a good playing field to begin at. So it's called making an investment. The Big 12 would be making an investment in UCONN. That's what this would be. And yes, it will sit well with basketball. We know that basketball doesn't generate much money, but in the future, it's going to increase. And all these other football conferences is going to be improving on their basketball, period. This next round of realignment is really going to be about improving on basketball more so than anything. Basketball programs are going to be grabbed, and UCONN will not be left. I'm just saying they will not be left out because they are a relevant program. And they will enhance the basketball of any conference that adds them. Now, their football will be worked on. There will need to be some progression. Now, the key to the University of Connecticut success will be them getting a football stadium on their campus that they own. That's going to be the key to their football success, period. So if they can get a proposal and get that part worked out, they'll be okay. But until then, I don't think anyone is going to be, trying to hear what they have to offer at the moment. They have to figure out the football situation. Once again, I just wanted to touch on that. For now, I'll be coming at you again with another video on UCONN. But yeah, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing some lives. There's going to be a whole nother rollout of some different aspects on the Size 11 channel, Size 11 network. Just make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop a video. Once again, till next time.